Hello, loves. Welcome to Reese Reviews. Welcome home, where today we'll be discussing Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 8, Episode 10, New Kids on the Cell Block. So, let's just get right on into the video. So, in the first scene, we see Nell and Chris Fletcher. Nell has come down to Chris's office and she sits down to talk to him. She asks him what's going on. They're catching each other up. And he says that he's currently actually looking for a house for Sunni and Moses. And her face is like, huh? So then she asks, did you talk to Destiny? And he was like, I don't gotta talk to Destiny to sell a house. And she's like, well, because of the relationship that you and Destiny have, do you feel like it might be a conflict of interest? And he's like, no. He doesn't think so, but he's a realtor, he's a broker. So obviously he needs to make his money, and these people want to spend their money. So yeah, he's going to show them the house. Nell says that she is having anxiety and wants to know if Chris has seen a change in her. And he's like, I've been married to you for over 30 years. I do see that there's a change, and she has an issue with her adult children in regards to finances and her having to be the financially responsible mother taking care of her adult children and them really not honing in on their own finances and taking care of themselves. She feels like she's becoming depleted and wants to know what should be done about it. Chris's suggestion is that he should get all of them to dinner, and she don't want to cook. And he's like, come on, we gotta eat. And he's like, I would like for you to cook. And she says she would think about it. So that's pretty much what they have going on. Just jump right on into the next scene. Now we move over to Chris yet again, and this time he's on his way to Martell's rental property, where he is going to introduce the home to Sunni and Moses. So he comes in and he says that regardless of the situation with him and Destiny, he does see Destiny as little sister. However, he does not need to ask or run things by Destiny if he needs to sell a house. He is a mortgage broker. This is his job, his livelihood, and he should not have to go through Destiny to get her approval to make money. So we get into the home and we see Martell, and Martell and Chris are chopping it up, and Martell wants to know a little bit about the people who are coming by, and Chris is like, well, they're just, coming from St. Louis, and I'm not sure if they're going to try to move here permanently or if they might want an investment property. And he was like, who is this? Wait a minute, is this Sunni and Moses? And he's like, yeah, it's Sunni and Moses. And he's like, I don't want to say anything, but did you ask Destiny? And once again, this is where Chris goes on to say that he feels like he does not have to ask Destiny's permission to sell a house. He's a broker. That's what he does. Now we see Sunni and Moses coming in, and, they greet Martell and they greet Chris. And as they do that, Sunny's pretty much explaining that right now at this time, they're interested in buying a home because they're actually looking to start a family. And Martell's like, wait, you're having a baby? And she's like, we're starting. We haven't started, we're starting. And he mentions it only takes one night. She says something like that. Chris takes them around the house, and they actually tour the house. As they tour the house and they're done visiting, they go outside. When they go outside, Sunny's basically like, oh, okay, is that a school across the street? And they're like, yes, it's an elementary school. And right down the block from there is Chris and Nell's daycare, which has been around for over 30 years. Chris then says, well, we talked about the home at the Lovers and Friends Gala, and that's when Sunny makes a face. Chris wants to know what's that all about. And she says, Stormi knows how to throw a good event. She basically spoke about how she did have a pleasant conversation with Nell, but at the same time, Destiny was not too happy. Martell says that he did see Destiny. Destiny did mention that she saw Sunni and Moses there, and they flash back to a clip of the gala into which Destiny did say that Sunni and Moses were a match made in hell. She wishes them whatever they get. So basically, Moses then, says, well, Destiny fumbled the ball. She wasn't there for me when I needed her. She had her own stuff going on, and so he moved on to Sunni. Sunni says that the timeline is completely different and separate, and she hopes that one day her and Destiny could be cordial because she does not hate Destiny, but she feels like Destiny has been very disrespectful in regards to her relationship with Moses, and so that's why she's coming as hard as she's coming. Martell says that he's neutral because Destiny and Moses were not married during the situation, to where Chris is like, oh, you're neutral? And he's like, it's a difference between what Chris and Nell are doing, because Chris and Nell are 100% on Mel's side, into which Chris says no, he believes that he's mutual, but Martell doesn't see it that way. Martell thinks that they're 100% on Melody's side, but he says that he's neutral. If Moses starts doing some shady stuff, then he'll be on Destiny's side all day. They agree, and that's pretty much the scene. So now we move on to the next scene. So now we see Stormi and Martell. Martell comes down to Stormi's warehouse to kind of chop it up. He actually wanted to see Courtney, but she informed him that Courtney had to go out of town. He'll be back in 2 days. They're in the process of moving to a new warehouse. She asked him how he thought the gala was, and he tells her that the gala he thought went really well. She said that Martell kind of dropped the ball because obviously she was wanting for him to be a model, and he pretty much said, like, no, it's pretty much it's all the cookies I've been eating. And she was like, well, I try to get, Trish to train you, but it was just so awkward at the house. And so Martell is like, well, yeah, I found out that Trish was upset because I acted like I didn't really know her. And Stormi's like, well, yeah, I mean, that was kind of weird. And he was like, well, and she was like, well, what happened? Because, like, it just seemed like really weird and awkward. And he was just like, oh, she came to the house a couple times. And Stormi's like, what? Like, her facial expression is like, excuse me. But he explains that she came to the house a couple of times, and Stormi's like, in what way? Did you tell Ken? And he's like, oh, no, I didn't tell Ken. I told her that we communicated, but Stormi's like, it sounds like y'all know each other in a more different type of way. And Martell says nothing happened. Producers pretty much asked him, like, was he interested in Trish? He said he was interested enough to DM her, get her to come to the house so he could see what's up. So you already know what was on Martell's mind. But then I'm thinking to myself, what's the timeline of this for real? Because he says that this was before Ken, but at the same time, Martell, you were married. So was this during and before your divorce to Mel? Yeah, different type of vibe. Martell's like explaining to her, what happened with him and how, things were going in his life. Martell says he was kind of shocked that Mel wasn't at the gala, and she says she pretty much spoke to Mel. She did invite her, but once she found out that Martell was coming, it was a no. Stormi wanted to even know if they can exist in the same space with him over here and Melody over there, and it was giving no. So Martell is like, that's kind of weird because right after my arrest, we went to my child's spelling bee competition, and she was sitting, and then he kind of moved right there for me. So basically he's stating that they were indeed in the same room during their child's event, yet when it came time for her to be in the same room with him with other people, she's not trying to do it. So speaking of that, speaking of Mel, Stormi then goes on to tell him that she was also arrested for harassment and communications based on a millimeter that came to her warehouse that was saying bad things about her. And Stormi was screaming and crying. The lady was stalking her, and Stormi ended up getting arrested because she had cursed the lady out, even though the lady's the one that came to her warehouse. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. In my personal opinion, at the end of the day, homegirl should have never came to her warehouse, because the excuses that she's making now in regards to why she went to the warehouse is completely different from the excuses that she was making as she was trying to pull up to the warehouse. So let's just pretty much keep it a buck. She came to the warehouse to incite drama, and she got the drama she received, and because she almost got dealt with, she decided, yeah, you know what, let me just take matters into my own hands and get Shorty arrested for it. I do believe that lady was being very messy. And maybe I'll go into it, maybe I won't. I won't state who it is. It is a fellow YouTuber. I'm pretty sure if you're watching this Love and Marriage Huntsville sector, then you pretty much already have seen or heard of the drama between the lady and Stormi. So Stormi basically says that everybody's gonna see, she's being successful anyway. She's moving to a brand new spot, and that's really all that matters is what people gonna see. Moving forward, the positivity and the big moves that she's gonna be making. And then she said to Martell, "Don't let nobody play on his name." She's proud of him for building that house, so now he needs to go build another one. And let's move on to the next scene. In the next scene, we see Kimmi and Maurice, which we haven't seen too much so far. So we see Kimmi and Maurice, and they are at a restaurant. And guess who they're gonna be meeting up with for dinner? Double date. Sunni and Moses. So Sunni and Moses walk in. Sunni was the one who actually orchestrated the dinner between her, Moses, Kimmi, and Maurice, because she wasn't really sure how they last left off. She wanted to speak with Kimmi without Tisha being there, because she really likes Kimmi and she wants to revisit a conversation they had prior to. Before Sunni and Moses get there, though, Kimmi does tell Maurice that she feels kind of, not sure really how to feel, because even though, Sunni is not a bad person, Destiny is her friend. So she feels kind of, questionable about what they're going to speak about. And she also mentions that Destiny was interested in the last vacant unit that she had at the place that her and Maurice are setting up. So Moses and Sunni enter in. And they greet them and they sit down and they start having their conversation. So pretty much, Maurice asks, when are they going to be moving over to Huntsville? They stated that they're looking right now, currently. They want to start a family and they feel like Huntsville will be a great place. Sunni does state that she does have family that lives in Huntsville, as well as some friends that live in Huntsville as well. And they reminisce on the fact that Kimmi actually came from Baltimore to Huntsville strictly because she had family there. She felt that it would be a good place to raise her child. They also talked about doing the IVF treatments that they're doing currently in St. Louis. And Maurice brings up the fact that the laws have changed now, and the laws concerning IVF and those things have significantly changed in Alabama in comparison to what is acceptable in St. Louis. So they're going to keep doing the IVF over there. But this is Sunni and Moses' second round. Moses goes on to say that, he was incarcerated. He basically talks about how long he's been incarcerated for and the fact that him moving to Alabama will be a change of pace and he'll be pretty much away from the things that led him to go astray in the first place. He mentions that he did in total do 15 years in jail, and for him to be pretty much like 40, he spent majority of his life he's in jail. Like he spent majority of his teenage years into adulthood in jail, which is crazy in itself, because now I could understand why he was so hell-bent on getting married and hell-bent on having a family. If you literally listen to what he's saying, not listen to respond, but just to take in the information, he spent most of his life without family, most of his adult life without family. So it's kind of shocking that he actually was married in that space, because I really feel like, honestly, with him being married really young, he never really had time to spend with his wife if he's been in jail total of 15 years back and forth from a teenager at 17 all the way up until now. That's really not a lot of time to secure a family. So I understand his eagerness and his desire to hurry up and get married and start a family. Because obviously, if he was in jail majority of the time that he was actually married, he never had a real chance to even have or make or create a family. So I get the rush. I get it. As far as Maurice now, he goes on to explain that where he's from in Michigan, most of the people that he grew up with are dead. Out of before he turned 21, 31 of his homeboys were deceased. His old teammates
they're all gone and he's the only surviving member. He spoke about how hard it was for his family coming up once his dad became incarcerated. Him with 8 siblings, his mom became a single mother and had to raise him on her own. He didn't get the bout of freedom until he went to A&M, and then from there his family started coming over there as well. So his story was kind of good to hear a backstory. I love hearing backstories because it kind of pieces the puzzles together as to why people make the moves that they do and how people become who they are. So I love hearing a good backstory. So all in all, I felt like the scene was pretty good. Kimmi does suggest that she's able to actually show Sunni homes as well, but because Sunni states that she's not in a contract with Chris as far as him being her actual realtor. So we'll see how that goes. They also did mention that they did see the home that Martell built and Chris showed them the home. Moses feels like that would be more of an investment property if they decide to go with it because they're not really too sure about the north side of Huntsville. They're not too sure about that area. I'm guessing there's other areas that they've looked at that they're familiar with that they feel may be better. Who knows? But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next scene. In this final scene, we are at Nell and Chris Fletcher's home. Nell is seen cooking and preparing dinner for her kids because she's going to have a conversation with them about the financial woes that she's going through. Nell and Chris's kids start to come in, as well as Kiki, who is their niece, that they treat more of like a daughter because she does not have parents. So she does not have active parents. I'm not sure if her parents are deceased or if they're still with us, but I do know that from watching episodes, her parents are not active in her life, and so Kiki also has a child as well. So Nell pretty much tells everybody, look, don't call me unless it's really, really, really in need. The boy who cried wolf, by the time he had an issue going on, there's pretty much nothing that they could do because nobody believed them. She's saying that she has things that she wants to do financially and it's taking a toll on her and her mental health by having everyone reach out to her for money. She feels like she's the fixer, and she feels like the only time she really hears from her kids is when something wrong is going on that she needs to bail them out of. She stated that the only people that she wants to help going forward with no issue is her grandkids. I believe Lance may have 2 kids, but she did mention that she had 2 grandkids. And at that point, Kiki was like, she didn't like that because she doesn't have family. And what about her daughter? I believe her daughter's name is Amira. Don't get me to lying, but I could have sworn that's what she said. If she didn't, let me know in the comments below. But she didn't like the fact that Nell said that. Nell and Chris in the confessional basically said, like, look, they have to kind of handle Kiki with kitten gloves because she's very sensitive. She doesn't have any family of her own. And even though that's Nell's niece, she basically is like her second mother and grandmother to Kiki's daughter. So she has to kind of treat her with extra care. They mentioned going to counseling to see if they can do family counseling, to see if they can kind of gel things together. Chris mentions that, and everybody feels like they're okay with going. What Chris Jr. suggested was that Nell also go to counseling, and the whole time she's saying, yeah, you guys definitely need to go to counseling. She's making it seem like only the kids need counseling and not her, which no, baby girl, you need counseling, baby. You need counseling bad. So they suggest that she goes, especially with the situation with her being both auntie and parent to Kiki. That would kind of like air out. And Kiki was also mentioning that with everybody together, be an outside party, getting everybody's perspective and being able to piece it together and help the family. So Nell does not want to go, but reluctantly she's going to go ahead and push forward. And that's the end of this episode. I hope you guys liked the episode. Tell me what you thought about it down below. Feel free to leave a comment. Let's engage with each other. I don't want to be talking to myself. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.